Hey guys, it's your girl Miss Annie J, and today, I know I always sound really cheery when I'm talking about PMDD. It is not a cheery condition. However, I'm a very optimistic type person, so I like to try and stay as positive as possible, even when I'm talking about things which are quite disheartening, sad to say the least. So I'm going to go into PMDD and erratic choices. If you're someone who deals with PMDD, I'm sure you know what's coming. If you are somebody who is not familiar with PMDD, then this video is definitely something you need to hear. So please stay tuned. I'm going to be right back. Okay guys, so the reason why I wanted to talk about PMDD and erratic choices is because it is such a crucial part of the condition. You guys know I always like to do a very quick overview of PMDD for people who are new to my channel or who are new to PMDD. It is a severe and debilitating version of PMS, otherwise known as premenstrual syndrome. PMDD is like PMS on serious crack, okay? That is the easiest way that I can explain it. It is severe to the point where it affects a woman's quality of life. It can be debilitating. It can knock you out of your job. It can make it difficult to maintain relationships. It is a nightmare. You can be in a depressive state. It's like an on-off button. All of a sudden, PMDD weeks hit you and you are feeling super anxious, very depressed, sad, extremely fatigued. Your cravings go through the roof. You put on weight. You suffer from body dysmorphia. It is horrible. The reason why I wanted to discuss erratic choices is because that is something that I have experienced as a PMDD warrior. Notice that I said warrior and not sufferer. And so I just wanted to give a bit more insight into it for women out there who may go through the same thing, or if you are with somebody or close to somebody who deals with PMDD. As a result of these erratic behaviors, choices, we find it difficult to maintain a solid level of consistency in the things that we tend to do in life. Now, that is not everybody, obviously. Some people are able to battle through and just continue with life as necessary. I am definitely one of those people. It doesn't mean that the condition doesn't hit me as much as it hits the next woman with PMDD. It's just my way of managing it might be different to another person dealing with PMDD. At the time when PMDD was at its worst for me, I'm talking consistently, consecutively, every month, I was just knocked out of it. It was so difficult for me to maintain things that were going on in my life at the time. I would job hop if I'm in one job and I get to my PMDD weeks, and during those PMDD weeks, the job just happens to be at its most stressful. I would then feel like I can't cope with this. I'm going to leave and go somewhere else. That is one example, because during those PMDD weeks, you feel so vulnerable. You feel very on edge, down. It's difficult to see things in an optimistic light. Everything just looks negative. Even if things in your life haven't actually changed, your perception of what is happening around you is what changes. And that is because of your sensitivity to the hormone changes, which then manifests itself in varying emotional outcomes or behaviors. Maintaining romantic relationships can be quite challenging because of your mood swings, for example. And obviously, when your emotions are at an all-time low, it is then difficult to manage effectively the relationships that you have around you, and not necessarily just romantic relationships. These can be relationships with your family, with your friends. It can be relationships with your work colleagues. It just becomes difficult to manage and maintain those relationships at the level that you would during the weeks when you are not going through PMDD. Also, for me, was also impulsive shopping. So what I would tend to do is, because I feel so down in the dumps and what have you, I would try and do things to make myself feel better. And as a result of impulsive shopping, because I would now just be buying clothes that I don't necessarily need. However, at that time, it made me feel better about myself. I would be buying these things when I don't actually have the financial means to do so. And so as a result of that, I put myself in unnecessary debt based on emotive shopping. Whether it was clothes shopping, food shopping, I would just be buying things that would give me or boost my feel-good factor. And also, because I'm dealing with body dysmorphia during my PMDD weeks, it is a thing. And I'm talking literally just those weeks when I'm going through it. The rest of the time, I feel like I look like a complete babe. all of a sudden, it doesn't matter what I do not feel like I look good. That was another thing that would draw me into trying things to make me feel better about myself. During that time, I would change my hair. The body dysmorphia, right? I feel like I don't look good, so I need to do something to change how I'm feeling about myself. I would buy a new wig that I cannot afford. I would go and get my eyelashes done. I would go and do my nails that I couldn't afford at the time. So you see where I'm going with this? There were choices that I would make based on how I was feeling emotionally to try and make myself feel better. The consequence of that, overspending, which would then put me in financial difficulty, and that financial difficulty would then add to my negative symptoms of feeling depressed, sad, anxious, etc., because I am worsening my environmental state for myself. So it has a ripple effect. It would all just lead to me self-sabotaging subconsciously, but that would be the outcome. I would be just destroying my own well-being. I would be making things difficult for me in the long run. And as a result of that, once I have my bleed and the PMDD has dispersed, I would now be feeling awful about myself because I've bought all these things that I don't need. I've spent all this money that I do not have, and it puts me in a very negative headspace. Whilst I'm trying to crawl out of that hole that I have created for myself, PMDD hits again. And I feel 10 times worse because now I'm thinking I'm still trying to clear up this financial mess I've created for myself. I don't feel good about myself. And guess what happens? I do the same thing again. And it just becomes a repetitive cycle, sinking me deeper and deeper to the point where it wasn't just in my PMDD weeks that I was not feeling good about myself. It was also now in my good weeks because I'm dealing with the aftermath of the choices that I have made from all of this unnecessary spending and trying to make myself feel good, doing things that I should have completely avoided. So what would I advise to other women who may be able to identify with the things that I am saying? Do not make major decisions during your PMDD weeks. Try and avoid it at all costs. When you are fine before PMDD, make big major decisions. But during PMDD weeks, I would really encourage you to try and avoid making really big decisions, and that relates to all areas of life. I'm not just talking about shopping, I'm talking about work, I'm talking about your personal relationships with people. Do not make major decisions when you are going through the emotional upheaval, because you may end up making choices you end up later regretting, and then having to fix and repair all the damage that has been done could take a bit of time. PMDD then strikes again, and guess what? You feel 20 times worse this month than you did the last month before you had got yourself into this situation. Take it from someone who has done it. I've been through it. I've done it myself. I got myself to a very low point in life. That is what my encouragement would be to you. Avoid making major decisions when you are going through your PMDD. It is very tempting to do so because you will do it based on how you are feeling at that time. At that time, I know firsthand that you are very likely dealing with emotional turmoil, depression, sadness, fatigue, anxiety, and all of that. On the contrary, completely different flip side, what you need to do is focus on treatments that will help alleviate the symptoms that you are experiencing. Because guess what? If you are able to alleviate the symptoms you're feeling, you are less likely to then succumb to these urges to do things to make yourself feel better, because you're doing productive and constructive things to help alleviate the symptoms anyway. So you then don't need to fall back on making major decisions that could have a negative impact on your life. Even after the PMDD has dissipated and you are feeling better, things will still be intact. And that is the point that I have gotten to. That is the reason I constantly make my PMDD videos and I talk about different treatments, things that you can do to alleviate your symptoms, because then effectively it ripple effects into the rest of your life. It avoids you getting yourself into situations that you later regret, which then will just make you feel worse, and so on and so forth. If you are somebody who has made erratic choices, currently I am still mopping up the mess from those years when I used to live like that, because I am at such a much better place now. I've got so many PMDD videos, you guys have heard it all. I am constantly doing the things necessary to help alleviate the symptoms so that I maintain a consistent level of well-being and happiness in my life on a frequent basis. And I just want the same for you guys also. So it's not the end of the world if you have done things like what I have just spoken about. You know, you may have spent here and there and put yourself in difficulty or messed up relationships that you had. It's not the end of the world. This condition is really something else. It is difficult, it is a struggle. Unless somebody has it, they will never understand how deep this condition is and how much it can affect your life. But the good news is there are things that we can do to alleviate those symptoms so we can keep living a fulfilled life. I say it all the time and I'm never going to stop saying it. If you haven't seen my videos about the type of things I do to help alleviate the symptoms, then definitely check those out. I will leave the link to my PMDD playlist at the end of this video. If you have any comments or questions off the back of the things that I have just spoken about, or you want to know more about my experience going through these things, anything specific that I did or what have you, please do feel free to drop me a comment. And if you are new to my channel, welcome. If you are a veteran, I've got love for you. And guys, just remember to keep on taking care of yourself. I will be back with another PMDD video in a couple of weeks' time. Until then, we are PMDD survivors. We are not PMDD victims. Guys, it's your girl, Miss Annie J. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.
Feeling on a melody, I'ma be your remedy. No time for the jealousy, this is just a gift to me. Sun is shining down on me, making juice so readily. Like tap, 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 tap. I'm a big bad D, shaking down the house on a rhythmic street.